Hi guys, what is going on? First of all, apologies because I said I'd try and do these podcasts every couple of weeks, every 2 weeks, and I haven't. And there's actually been a genuine excuse as to why I haven't recorded one of these podcasts sooner than I'd liked, than I'd hoped. Are we making sense here? Let's do it. So basically, I have been without Wi-Fi again in our new home, and we've been in our new home for about just over a month now, and the internet has gone down twice. And for a YouTuber like me, for someone like me that heavily relies on the internet, this is a no-go. This is no good for me at all. So, internet has basically put a stop to my YouTube, also obviously put a stop to the podcast. But we're back up and running now, and I am actually taking a break from YouTube. And instead of doing a little YouTube video about I'm coming away from YouTube, I'm just going to put everything into this podcast because it'll go up onto YouTube anyway. And I might try and get these back on Spotify, although I've got to pay. I might try and do it because hopefully on Spotify I might reach people I don't on my other social. So I think it might be worth the little bit of money I've got to pay to get the podcast back on Spotify. So guys, currently you can't see me obviously because this is a verbal podcast, isn't a viewing thing, but I am looking at my phone as I've got some notes and some topics that I need to tell you guys about. I need to do some explaining of myself, which I'm always doing, but I just have to do it. And as I always say in the podcast, we can always go into more detail than a YouTube video. These can be longer than YouTube videos, so I can go into some proper details with everything that's been going on lately, why I'm going away from YouTube deliberately for a while, what's going on in my head, what's going on in my car life. So we've got a few subjects to touch on because, as I say, it's been a bit of a while since I've done a podcast. I am currently offline from YouTube. There's a few things to talk about, so let's get to it. Okay, I've actually just had to remind myself of my last YouTube upload, which was, nearly a couple of weeks ago now, which is unusual for me because I don't normally tend to go away for that long from YouTube. I'm usually posting a couple of videos a week or at least once a week. And the last upload I did was when I said I'd made a mistake buying a car. And that car I was talking about was a Daihatsu Charade. And you obviously would have recently seen I bought the Carina E back into my ownership. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Charade. So, as said in that YouTube video, I bought the car to buy and sell it, basically. Once I bought the car, I quickly realised I shouldn't have done, because although the car had full service history and mechanically had been looked after, the bodywork was worse than I thought. And I remember my dad saying to me, on the quiet when we were looking at the car, "You sure you want to buy it because it is tatty?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it'll be fine, I'll make some money." And then when I brought the car home, I kind of thought, it's quite a cute little rare car, it's rarer than the Carina E, and I kind of thought, maybe I could I don't know, modify it, or your head runs away with you when you buy new cars, or it does for me anyway. I was kind of thinking, I could get it resprayed and stuff. But look, realistically, getting the car resprayed, getting all the dents knocked out, all the scratches gone over, it's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest, I can talk the talk, but I can't walk the walk. And it didn't happen. And what I did was I had that car all legal on the road, as well as my Carina E, and I was just switching between both cars. Quickly put the Charade up for sale because I realised not only had I made a mistake buying that particular car, I felt, but I'd made a mistake with my money. Because, as I've already explained, I sold the Honda logo to give me more funds to get me buying this new place. Obviously, I also said the new place a bit more money, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to have more funds in my bank to make sure financially I'm okay in this new place, on my half anyway. And that logo money that was going to make me financially kind of okay, I then went and spent on a Charade, which I didn't need, and like I say, shouldn't have really bought anyway. So that kind of important money I had in a pot, as I say, was gone on a car that I didn't need. So stupid of me to do that. I just get excited, I see a cheap rare car, and I have to buy it. And then, as I said, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. Was I going to keep it? Was I going to plan with still going to buy and sell it? And I shouldn't have spent that logo money. But I was stupid. I did. I was spontaneous, and I did. And the Charade came into my ownership. So yeah, as I also said in the Sherrod video, I literally stuck some hubcaps on. Martin cleaned up for me, valeter by trade, and he obviously doesn't mind valeting for me, so that was cool. So yeah, he cleaned up the Sherrod, put the hubcaps on, got it up for sale after a week of owner or so, once she was all looking pretty clean and as good as she could, and struggled to sell that car, to be honest. Again, when I saw the advert for the car, I had a price in mind of what I could sell it for. By the time I got it home and it was cleaned, I was like, yeah, it's not going to sell for that much, is it, Amber? Because it is tatty. And I had to reduce it a couple of times on the old Facebook Marketplace. I was kind of hoping I'd sell it to some like retro car enthusiasts, but also I wasn't really that bothered. I just wanted to sell it and get my money back. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to make a profit because, you know, sometimes you have to take an L, as they say, you have to take a loss. But most of the time I'm pretty good when it comes to buying and selling cars. To be honest, I am going to brag about that because I am pretty good at it. And yeah, basically, long story short, some guy turned up on his own and he said he was going to buy it for his girlfriend to learn to drive in. She was learning to drive in a manual. She wanted to learn to drive in an automatic instead. So he just rocked up in his own car, bought my Sherrod. I made a little bit of a profit, so no loss, but I made a profit, which I wasn't expecting, so that's really good. And yeah, he just bought it there and then, and he left his other car outside mine for a few days, which was annoying. But yeah, the Sherrod sold. I did somehow manage to make a little bit of a profit, not as much as I would have liked, but I didn't make a loss. I didn't break even. I made a bit of a profit, so that's cool. So we'll never talk about that little mistake again. I needed that important money and I wasted it, but at least I got that money back and a little bit more. So the Hatsu Sherrod has sold. I actually went to a really cool car show event, whatever you want to call it, this time last weekend. Last Sunday, as I'm recording this podcast, I went along with my dad. And because I have taken a break from YouTube, I said to my dad, do you know what? I'm not going to take any cameras with me. I'm not going to bother filming a YouTube video. I'm just going to take my phone with me, bottle of water, and let's go to a car show and enjoy it properly, not have the pressure of filming YouTube content, taking photos of my big camera, like my SLR camera. I thought I'm just going to take my phone. If I want to photo stuff, I do. If I want to record stuff, the phone's okay for that. And I didn't record any video footage because I was not filming for YouTube deliberately. And that made it a whole better time for me to walk around cars properly. No pressure, as I say. Didn't have two cameras attached to me all the time. I wasn't stressed. It was really hot weather. Basically, the show I'm talking about is Tucked. Tucked Automotive are like a car brand, and they always have their meets like hours and hours away from me up north on some big manor house estates. And for that reason, I've never attended one of their meets. But when I heard through kind of like a work colleague of mine that they were holding a meet down south, like an hour and a bit drive from us, I was like, I need to go. So I managed to go to my first Tucked meet, as I say, down our neck of the woods as such, and it was really, really good. So although I didn't film it for YouTube, I have actually done a write-up and I did take some photos on my phone for the website for a blog post. I'm trying to get into like more kind of, as well as doing a YouTube eventually again, I'm trying to get into more kind of writing and kind of like photos and that in a way. So I've done a really cool blog post. If you want to see the cars from that event, if you want to hear or read my words from that event, really good event. I'll definitely go again. Hopefully they stay down south with some of their events. If they don't, I'd probably like to travel to one of their events up north if that's the case one day. That'd be cool. But yeah, if you want to hear about and see about the Tucked event in my words, then head over to my website, driven247.co.uk, and I took some photos of some of the cars that I liked, did a bit of a write-up, and yeah, really nice vibes, really nice show. The weather was really, really hot. It was like 25 degrees. Yeah, really great show. So you can read and see more about that on my website. Now, let's talk about a bit of a podcast exclusive then, because have I said it enough already? I'm kind of off the YouTube video filming for a second, and I need to be, because I need to sort my life out car-wise. I need to sort my car head out. And I've also been taking advice from a very successful YouTuber compared to me, that's for sure. I've been taking some advice from a fellow YouTuber who's got a really good following. Somehow we message on Instagram, and that's pretty cool that I can ask him for advice and he gives me his honest opinion, and that's really cool because obviously I'm going to listen to him because he seems to be doing it right and I seem to be doing it wrong. this isn't the first time I've admitted this flaw about myself as a person or personality-wise when it comes to cars, but I always moan to myself, and maybe you guys obviously hear it sometimes and see it from me, about my YouTube channel isn't growing as much as I'd like it to. Now, don't get me wrong, people with like 100,000 subscribers are probably always going to wish they grew their channel more, or it grew quicker to that number, or would grow quicker to the next 100,000. But for a small YouTuber, or for me as a small YouTuber, I just have the dream of being a full-time YouTuber. And even the YouTubers that have more subscribers than me, although they might say, I just do YouTube for fun, you're not. You're doing it to be full-time. There's nothing wrong with that at all, because that's what I want. And it's very far-fetched. It's overly ambitious from me and my position that I'm currently at. But there's nothing wrong with having the dream. I am not a career-driven person, but I am driven literally by trying to do the YouTube. And the one thing that kind of keeps me, or one of the things that keeps me going in life, is that although I'm back in like a dead-end job, but it's a job I really love, as I've said before, it's a dead-end job, but I have the visions of not being there for 10 years. I had the visions of being a YouTuber, or somehow my YouTube gets me into a job that I actually want. Do you see what I mean? I do YouTube to be a full-time YouTuber, to get my name out there, to get me as a petrol head person out there. I do it for a number of reasons, of course, and mainly the thing is, if I was just doing YouTube purely to, be famous or something, which would be nice, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing it for those reasons at the moment. And the fact is, when I'm not doing YouTube, like I'm currently not really, it's always on my mind, buying cars for YouTube, what's the next video, it's in my blood. So although sometimes I feel like I should just give up because it's going nowhere, I can't help but not give up. I can't help it, I have to do YouTube because I just love doing it, to be honest. Sorry, we'll go back to the podcast exclusive, because you're thinking, why did I say that? Nothing's actually been exclusively said. Carina E's just literally sold. I can't believe it. I was just about to sit down to do this podcast, and I had a guy message me and say, can they come and have a look at the Carina E this afternoon? It'd been up for sale for longer than I thought, and it was going to be one of those cars that was never going to sell. And basically I did a little trick that I've done before. Maybe I won't tell you because it works for me. And after reducing the car as well, of course, some guy was like, can I come this afternoon? And it's gone. It's gone off my driveway. He's just bought it, made a profit again, which I wasn't expecting with that car. And I'm going to tell you why I sold it. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you why I sold it. So I sold the Carina E for personal reasons and advice from said YouTuber that I was also talking about. And I'm not maybe going to tell you what he was saying to me, because maybe it's inside YouTube knowledge, I don't know. But I'm going to talk about the reasons why I wanted to sell the car. And again, I'm just going to admit it. I probably shouldn't have bought that car. I bought it with intentions of lowering the car, because when I owned the car the first time round, I bought lowering springs, and the springs never ended up getting fitted to the car. And I always said to myself, I'd like to buy that car back, get it lowered on those lowering springs, which I still have, believe it or not. And managed to, or was lucky enough to buy the car back. I was looking at the box of lowering springs. I asked my dad if he wanted to do it. He couldn't be bothered, because he thinks, why should he work on my cars when I go and sell them the next day? And that's true. It's a fair point. And then I did actually film a video for YouTube, which I haven't done anything with it, because after that video, I was like, I don't think I want this car anymore. I don't want to go anywhere with it, because I was looking at the car, and I know I knew this when I owned the car first time round. I knew it when I bought the car back, and I just looked at the car and I was like, this car has got no street cred. It's very tatty. There's no denying it's very tatty. And if I want to make it less tatty, that's going to cost money, which I don't have to spend on that car. And after going to this Tucked event, I didn't see any modified Toyota Carina E's there. Now, that could be a cool thing because they're rare and they don't get modified, or they're just rare cars. But I just noticed they're just not cool. And, they're not cool. And I've realised that I need to own a cool car for some reasons. And I want to own a cool car. And so basically what has happened is I'm now carless. I don't have any cars. The Charad's obviously gone. The Carina E, which was my only car, is now gone. luckily Martin has 2 cars, and I'll be whipping around in a Zetec S for a little while until I find a stopgap car or something. But I have a plan for once. Well, not for once. Yeah, I do. I need to be... The thing is, I've said before, I swear I've got ADHD. I'm so stupid with my money. I'm so spontaneous. I make a lot of bad decisions when it comes to money, buying things I shouldn't have, aka cars, with money I don't really have. And I feel like now I've got a bit of money back from selling a Carina E, I should be sensible and I should really plan my next car better. So, as I say, I now have the Carina E money in my pocket as such, and I have a plan, and I need to stick to it as much as I can, and as hard as it's going to be, maybe, for me, being me, but I need to stick to it. So, without going into details, I'm going to use the money, I'm going to be carless, whip around in one of Martin's cars for a bit, and I'm going to use the money I've got to invest in making more money. You probably know what I mean by that. It's not some Forex trading scam, by the way. So I'm going to use that money to invest in making some more money. Then I've got some cars in mind that I want to buy and actually modify for once. Because also a pattern that happens with me is, say I buy a Ford Fiesta, and then I say to you guys in the YouTube videos I'm going to modify it. The modifications either don't happen or don't happen quick enough, and that's all down to money. So what I want to do this time is, when I've bought a car that I actually really want, I want to be able to have the budget to buy the car and then modify the car like straight away. So I've got to have the money in the bank to buy the car outright, obviously. It's only going to be something cheapish, of course. And I then want to have the money to tell you guys I'm going to modify it and actually do it. So you guys know that I can stick to my word. I know I can stick to my word. And the car looks cooler quicker. And then I might like it more because the car's looking cooler quicker on my ownership. And because after going to that tucked event, don't get me wrong, there wasn't 100% perfect cars there. There were some really out-and-out show cars there. And then there were some little bit modified cars there, or some that were like ongoing projects, and that was really cool. And I was just at that event, and I said to my dad, next year I want to have a car at the show, if it comes down south, that is. I want to have a car at this show, because not all perfect cars are here, and whatever I own next isn't going to be perfect, because it's going to be a cheap banger as such. And as I've said before, and as I've not done before either, because I don't stick to my word, is I want to build a car that I can stick to my word with for me and for you guys. I want to build a car that I can actually modify. I want to build a story with a car. I want to build a relationship with a car. How cute. You know, I have owned cars that have meant sentimental value to me, but then have they? Because I've got rid of them, and I was stupid to do that as well. But I want a car that I can modify, and a car that I feel cool in, I look cool in. I don't mind admitting I want a car that like gets me looks. Like, I want to look cool in a car. I want to own a cool car. And as I say, driving around that Carina E, even with it lowered, it still had the mirrors that were tatty that needed respraying. The car had like, it was just awful really when I think about it. Like, I'm driving around in a big saloon car and I'm just little me. Like, I want I'd like a fast hot hatch. That's even more money. I'd like a fun, cool, retro hatchback kind of car. And after going to a tucked event, I saw what was popular, I saw what was modifiable, and I had an idea in my head of what I wanted, and I've got more of a clear idea of what I want next as a car. And do you know what? I'm going to tell you guys the kind of cars that I'm after for me. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, do go ahead in the comments and let me know your thoughts. But in my recent years of car ownership, I've gone Japanese, and I love Jap cars because they tend to be reliable and quirky. But with owning quirky cars is a niche market, and for parts and just for like, I don't know, car clubs and stuff. And yeah, I like owning rare cars, but when you talk, yeah, not many people can relate to owning rare cars is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I didn't see any Carina E's at that tucked meet, for example. They're rare, which is cool, but they might be rare because they're rubbish, let's admit that, I don't know. But I don't know what I'm talking about now. But it's basically, I want to own a car that's popular-ish, well, pretty popular, a car that I can get mods for, and I want to kind of properly research it. So, you know, I want to buy a car that I can buy coilovers for, and there's no good me looking at a car which I can't buy mods for, because that's the whole point of the next car. I want it to be somewhat of a show car. I want to be able to buy wheels for it second hand, you know, coilovers, I don't know, aftermarket lights and stuff like that. But I need a kind of good base to start with, obviously. But let me talk to you about the kind of little short list I have of what I want as my next car. So I was talking about, obviously I've owned loads of Japanese cars recently, and unless I find a kind of cheap EK Civic, like a late 90s Civic, in my budget, which first of all, in my budget isn't probably going to be possible because they're going up in price, and I never see those cars listed locally too often. So getting a Honda Civic is what I'd lust for in a way, just a basic one of course, but I don't really think that's going to happen. So because my kind of not dream, but because my target of owning a Honda Civic isn't likely, I'm starting to look at the German cars. Now, I have actually owned a couple of Germans before. I've had a BMW E36 before. Before YouTube, I used to own a Mark III GTI with an X. Didn't have that too long, I don't think. What else have I had? BMW. I've had the Mercs. I've had the big cruising barge old Mercs. So, I'm kind of maybe thinking to go away from the Japanese kind of cars, because getting good ones aren't going to be in my price range. Unless it's a whim and I'm very lucky, then I'll take that deal. So, I'm thinking about the Germans, and what I'm thinking about is I'd like to own another Mark III Golf, late 90s Golf. Doesn't have to be a GTI, would be nice, but even just a box standard Mark III Golf. I like how boxy they are, I like the look of them from the front, the rear. So I'd like a Mark III Golf. I'd also like from the same generation, from the same years, one of those VW Polos. Now, I would prefer the Golf over the Polo. Don't really go much on the look of the Polo from that year. Or I'm thinking I go for a bit of a newer Polo. What I mean by newer is like 2000-ish Polo. I'm also thinking of VW Lupos. And I'm also thinking about Mark III Golf convertibles. Although we're coming out of summer, might be able to pick one up cheap if the roof doesn't leak and the roof's in good condition. But kind of swaying away from the convertibles because roofs, basically. And I know from this recent event I've gone to, the VW Golfs, the Polos are common, but maybe that's a good thing. Like, there's obviously parts out there. There's modifiable parts out there, shall I say, and they're very modifiable cars. Oh, another car, which I doubt is going to be in my budget, which I wouldn't say no to, another BMW E36, or an E46 the year later, or the model later, shall I say. So I'm kind of swaying towards some more of the Germans. I'd really like a Mark III Golf. GTI would be great. If it's not a GTI, I'm not really that bothered. But I'm kind of swaying towards a Mark III Golf. Obviously, I can't see any for sale at the moment. Even if I saw one, I want to resist as much as I can, because I want to use the money to invest it into making more money to get me either a better car or to get me a cheapish car and I can modify it straight away. So it'll be interesting to see when I'm back on YouTube. I can maybe revisit what I've said in this podcast and see what car I end up with. But that's the plan. They're the cars that I'd like to own, and hopefully one of them I can. So that's kind of in my plans. I've got a list of cars that I'd like to own next. One of them. And that kind of gets me onto the YouTube subject again. So what I'm going to do is I'm currently going to probably stay away from YouTube for a couple more weeks or so. I don't know yet. I can't really put a time stamp on that, because I think it's better for me and it's better for you guys, because I've had comments, and totally fair comments, because people are saying all you do is car reveals, and it's true. I buy a car, say I'm going to do stuff, I don't. I annoy you guys, and I look like an idiot when I say those things in videos. It's there in black and white for people to see. I'm not sticking to my word. So I'm going to try and make some money, more money. I'm going to look for a car I actually want. I'm then going to buy said car. I'm then going to get parts ordered, bought straight away. And then I can go on YouTube. I'm letting you literally into all of my secrets here. Maybe I shouldn't be. I'm literally going to go onto YouTube. Kind of be like, here's my new car, I'm going to modify it, and then the next couple of videos I'll literally be modifying it. That's the plan. So, as I say, I'm going to continue my little break from YouTube. I might still do these podcasts just to kind of, in the meantime, keep something going on the YouTube and keep you guys kind of in the loop as such while I'm off YouTube video form. And that also comes into great with the seasons, because if I end up buying a bog standard car over the winter, it's not a great time to modify a car over the winter. But what I mean is, like, weather-wise, but what I'm thinking is, I can buy a car over the winter, modify it over those kind of non-show season months, and then by the time, spring comes, or, I don't know, March, April next year, I might have a car that's show worthy, that's done up because I've done it over the winter when shows haven't been going on. Just spat on my computer screen, that is gross. So that's the plan, to stay carless personally for as long as I can, to build up a pot of money, to buy something I really want, to buy something that I can actually modify and get parts for straight away in the budget, to come back to YouTube when I can fully commit to YouTube and stick to my word. I'm kind of like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Basically, because as I said earlier, I love doing YouTube videos, and a lot of the stuff I film I probably shouldn't because I make myself look like an idiot. But I'm gonna kind of punish myself and tell myself off, and tell myself, Amber, you must stay off YouTube until you figured it out, and that's basically what I'm doing or trying to do. I've got a plan. I need to stick to my plan. I need to get the plan and I need to get this to-do list ticked off. And once that's ticked off, and I'm happy, and I'm stable with a car, I'm stable with marking my words and making promises, I'll then return to YouTube for, and we can go from there and kind of start a bit of fresh. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm lucky enough to have been given advice, kind of advice I knew, but it was good to hear from a popular YouTuber. I've managed to figure some stuff out for myself, obviously. Sherrod's gone, Karina E is gone, money in the pocket, we're going to get some more money, and we're going to do this properly, we're going to do this YouTube thing properly. I'm getting old now, I've got a big birthday next year, and I still haven't made, apart from my birthdays, or one bath, I still haven't modified a car a lot, or quite a bit, apart from the E36 actually, which I kind of had to for MOT reasons. But yeah, I'm dying to own a car that I can properly, love, show off, even if that's an old Mark III Golf. I need a car that I can build a reputation on, get popular by. Do you see what I mean? I just need a car to get my name out there, and that is what I'm going to be looking for next, and that is what I'm going to do next. Back in my bath days again, because they used to be new cars, I used to be really into my car cleaning products and that, but nowadays, because I'm owning these old bangers, I used to be really OCD in my car cleaning process, and nowadays, no offense to Martin, but I'm just like, Martin, go and clean the car, I'm going to put it up for sale. Or yeah, if you want to clean my car while you're out there, that'd be really great. Thanks, love. And I want to get into my car cleaning products. I want a car that I can care about again. I want a car that I can be OCD with again. That's what I want to get back to. I want to be asking for car cleaning products again for my birthdays because I'm anal about how my car looks. That's where I want to be at. So I've said a lot. I haven't been lost for words in this podcast for once. And I hope maybe you guys can see the plan, you can see the journey, you can see where I'm coming from. Let me know in the comments below if you're listening on YouTube about whether I should go German, because that's what I'm thinking anyway. Or whether you think stay Japanese, or, But that's the plans. I've been as open and honest as I can. I'm sorry I'm not filming YouTube videos, YouTube videos basically. I'm just doing the audio on the podcast. I will try and stick at these while I'm off YouTube, and we'll see how it goes. That's the plans. I'm feeling good about it all. And like I say, check out my website on the blog post from that recent Tucked event that I went to with my dad. Thanks for listening, guys. I feel good for getting this off my chest with you guys, I'm not going to lie. Thanks for listening, guys. See you in another one.